Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description. So let's go with the topic today that you might find in a lot of your standard ritual pagan books. Hang on a second. I just gotta fix a little something to be a little bit better for my back. But so in a lot of, you know, ritual pagan books, you find them at like Barnes and Noble, or it's the majority of this stuff that's put out by the main publishers for witchy books and stuff, Llewellyn being one of them. You find that a lot of these books talk about the standard pagan ritual setup. So, we have casting a circle, we have setting up your altar, doing your spell work and blah 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 blah. And one of the things that they say is that you should not leave your ritual space once you have started, right? Now, when I was beginning in magic stuff and really getting heavy into ritual, doing stuff every single night for years, you know, um, there were times, because this is just who I am, where I would forget things, and then I would get out of the circle and then go back in. And of course, can you do this without consequence? Arguably, yes, although that also depends on what exactly you're doing. But you could have the consequences of your ritual not working, of course. So, why is that? All right. So, when you cast a circle, when you make this sacred space, you can call it, you erect your temple, you cast a circle, you make sacred space, whatever you want to call it. You are making this like container, this bubble of energy for the energy that you are raising in your ritual, so you can create a big psychodramatic change, raise a bunch of different of energies, work with some spirits, send that energy off, and then hopefully your goal is manifested, which also requires mundane real world action, which I always talk about. But think of it like a how do I put this? Think of it like a mug, right? I want to make some tea, okay? So I boil some water. So, putting the water in the teapot on the stove is like the backlog work that I was doing for my ritual. So, it's what did I write down? What did I script? What did I plan? Who am I? If I'm calling on any spirits, who are they? What kinds of different things do I need? Do I need my black mirror? Do I need a cord? What kind of candles do I need? What color? How many? Am I going to bring my pacucho? Am I going to bring my mesa? Am I going to bring my kartika? Do I need my furba? Do I need my wand? Do I need my athame? Whatever, right? Any of this stuff. That's all boiling the water in the teapot. And then when I step into ritual, I put the hot water into the mug, okay? And I got the tea bag in there. So as I'm doing the ritual, that is akin to the hot water being with the tea bag, and the longer it goes in there, the more it disperses, and then the better the tea gets over time. So if I was to just pour that tea on the floor right after I put it in there, or maybe like a minute after because I forgot something, then that tea is not going to be tasty. It's not going to lead to the result that I want because I want to enjoy some tea, and I'm it's not effective. I hope you guys are getting this analogy. So, when if I was to just pour it in there and then drink it right away, one, I'd burn my face. Two, the tea wouldn't taste very strong. It wouldn't taste very good. And would I get any of the benefits and stuff? No, because I barely used the tea bag and I wasted the dang thing. So that would be akin to doing a ritual very fast and being like wham bam done, right? No, we don't want to do that. But that's probably a topic for a different video. But that's why rituals should have a certain amount of time where the energy builds and peaks and whatnot. Because you can have the tea bag in there. It should steep for a certain amount of time, but then after so much time, then it's kind of a moot point to have the tea bag in there, right? So there's like that sweet spot you gotta hit. But once again, that's for like another video, which I probably won't make today. But think of it this way: you're in your ritual, your tea is steeping, and then you forgot, that you might have wanted to add some sugar, right? But you're in your living room now, sitting with your tea, maybe you're reading a book, and you got to go back into the kitchen to get the sugar. That breaks you away from your book. It breaks you away from enjoying that moment with your book and your tea. This would be the same kind of thing as, oh, I forgot X, Y, or Z tool in my cabinet, or but I left X, Y, or Z upstairs. So then you'd have to step out of that ritual space. That's like taking that mug and drilling a hole in the bottom, and then the tea starts to drain out. The energy that you have put in your cast circle, in your container, in your bubble, right? You're containing that energy so you can send it off somewhere. You are charging a battery that you do not want to discharge because you are waiting for the moment to send that energy off somewhere with your spell work to manifest your result. The other thing, so we just talked about energetics and stuff, right? So that's like the energetic model. Let's talk about the psychological model now. So let's say I'm down here in my ritual space. I got my headphones on. I got my music going. And I'm getting into like my chanting and whatnot. And I've invoked the 12 spirits of my mesa, and I've done the 4 spirits from the 4 directions. And then I've invoked maybe Lady Ishtar and other or any other deities and stuff. And then I realized I left my Kartika upstairs. Crap. If I step out of that ritual space and I start going through my house, right? Maybe my cat walks by. Oh, there you are, cat. And then I walk upstairs. There's a change in the lighting because the curtain in the living room is open, or the lights are on, or maybe my lady's playing some music or something, or she's got some YouTube video going or whatever. And I grab my Kartika and I go back downstairs, and then I step back into the ritual space. One, I would argue recast the circle, but that's beside the point because we kind of don't want to do this thing, right? What I the way that I think about it is I've just stepped out of the heightened psychological experience, this container that I've made that is supposed to open me up in a different way mentally than up, work, home, TV, bed, dishes, what do I got to do next, to I'm stepping in there as a magician to create my reality. And then I step back into the mundane world of, gosh dang it, where did I put this, that, or the other thing? And then there's all this stimulus and all these distractions and whatnot. My mental state is now back in like the logical, what is it, the alpha brainwaves, the normal ones. And correct me if I'm wrong on that one, by the way, because I can't think of it right now. But I've stepped out of that receptive mental space to go back into the mundane stuff. So then, when I come back down here, I got to step back into that mental space again. And I would like to argue that the second time is not as effective as the first, because then you have that backlog of, I just got distracted. I was in it, and then I got distracted. Your energy that you were putting out is arguably more pure the first time than it would be the second time or the third time, you know? So, moral of the story is, when you are in your ritual space, you do not want to break that container that you've made. You do not want to break the boundary of that circle for these mundane reasons. If you forgot something, guess what? Wing it without it. I would argue that that's more effective than having to break out of that concentration and that different mental state to go back into the mundane world, grab it, and then start all over. And then the other thing that you can think of is, if you are working and invoking any different kinds of spirits, or maybe even depending on the kind of spell work that you're working with, if you're trying to raise up some anger or some frustration or any of that kind of stuff, very like volatile energy, I guess you could say, you might leave yourself vulnerable to that kind of thing, because you are when you're raising it up, then it's haywire when it's kind of set free. It's like that mug that I drilled a hole in the bottom of. Now you got a big spill everywhere, and it's on maybe it's spilled on the table, and then guess what? It's seeping under your laptop. It seeped onto that book you were reading. It's now on the floor, and you have a hardwood floor, and you don't want to stain the hardwood floor. It's just a mess, and you don't want a mess. It's like the smoothie maker that we have. When the bottom of it is too loose, it seeps out of the bottom. So when I'm done making a smoothie in the morning, I got this chocolatey that's on my counter. You don't want that kind of stuff, right? So you want to keep it all contained. The other thing is, whenever you're working with magic, especially when you're new and whatnot, and you don't entirely know what you're doing because you're not entirely used to the energies and stuff, you might be more prone to be more forgetful. So if you forget something, wing it. Because if you are relatively new to this stuff, when we first start performing magic, and check my experiences with magic part 1 and experiences with magic part 2 videos, I reference those a lot. Good stuff. But when I started doing magic, that's when I was actually like followed, and and I had crazy dreams about shadow people. And because when I was tapping into this energy stuff, there are spirits that come to the energy raised in magic like moths to a flame. Maybe they're interested in it, and maybe they're around the local area, and you know, they've just noticed, oh, this is something new, and it's energy I can feed off of, and maybe I could get some more if this person's not careful. Maybe I can mess with this person if this person's not careful. Like my deck door has a light right next to it, which on the outside, which I never turn on. Why? Especially at night. Because if I turned it on and I opened the screen door, those bugs are more likely to come in the house, right? So I don't want to do that. If I have to go out on the porch at night, I don't have that light on, and I open, close, so I keep that boundary, because I'm not going to let something come in like a moth and then starts eating my stuff, you know? So you do kind of got to be cautious, not only about the psychological impacts on the focus of your ritual, but also what kind of energies you could be opening yourself up to when it comes to what is being contained within your circle, and what might be attracted to the work that you are doing outside of the circle. You know, um, reminds me of a meme from that was made from the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, when Link goes into the spirit realms to collect the tears, where when you start, you're in this protected circle, and the second you step out of it, there's these guardian things that will come chasing you. And I mean, the music in that, it just brings PTSD. If you know what I'm talking about, definitely let me know down below. But the meme shows the guardian thing sitting there with the sword, and he's like, if I were you, I'd stay in that circle. So, I mean, I'm gonna quote that. If I were you, I'd stay in that circle. The one you cast for ritual. You get it. Anyways, so let me know what you think about this one. Let me know if you've had any experiences with this kind of thing, if you are as commonly forgetful as I used to be, or if you've ever had to wing it with a ritual, and were the results just as good as you thought they'd be, or were they better? Anyways, like this video if you enjoyed it. Definitely subscribe if you haven't. Check my link tree down below for all of my good stuff. Books, classes, Patreon stuff, Magic for Hire, learning opportunities, all that good stuff. Right down there. Good hunting.